Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. Apparently, the demand for EVs comes as a big surprise for all legacy automakers, even though we have been talking about it on this channel for about 3 years now. But if we look at the numbers and what the trends are showing us, it is almost impossible for the old legacy automakers with their 50% EV target in 2030 to be right. I think most of you would probably be surprised by just how fast this will go and how we practically have hit the point of no return. It will be almost impossible to slow down the adoption so much that we will only be at 50% by 2030. I would like to show you very visual in this video so it is as clear as day for everyone just how fast this will take off, which of course means just how fast the fall of the ICE car is happening, because the legacy automakers have been surprised so far, but they truly still don't get the full picture, and the EV adoption is at a point of no return. So let me try to paint you that picture, and let's dive right in. So this is what I don't get. We have all the data for the last 5 years, how many plug-in cars have been sold, we have how many cars in general has been sold, and we know how many ICE cars have been sold. And if the numbers from many automotive analysts or the legacy automakers themselves are going to be true, the rise of the EV adoption we are seeing happening right now and has been for the last 6 years should almost have to stop completely for them to be right. Because people are eager to talk about how fast EVs are rising and the competition that is coming for Tesla, but at the same time they talk like ICE cars will be here for many decades to come. People tend to forget that when a new technology rises in a marketplace, the old one will fall just as fast. We are not going to see the EV make an exponential rise and the ICE car make a linear fall. That is simply just not how it works. If we next year will have 25% plug-in market share, that means that we will have about 15 to 16 million EVs being sold. That sounds about right, but that also means that the ICE cars are down 25% or down 15 to 16 million units. You know, the thing that the old guys are supposed to make a lot of money on selling is down 25% and still not making money on EVs. And when we are looking at the trend here, it just looks so clear what is about to happen, right? But still, many people think the trend we are seeing playing out right now will suddenly stop and go sideways. I know I'm using plug-in hybrids here as well, and people that follow my channel know how I feel about them, that they are the worst of both worlds, but the reason to include them is because I like to show you how fast pure ICE cars will fall, and every plug-in hybrid will also steal sales from the pure ICE cars. And I also think many people that are buying a hybrid are just using them as a stepping stone for the next car that will be a pure BEV. So the hybrid steals from the ICE sales, and I don't think the majority will go back to ICE. And when they will no longer be called green vehicles here in Europe, I think all of the old boys will simply stop making them, because they only make them because they don't use too many batteries and they still need maintenance and they count as a green vehicle. But I don't think that will last very long here in Europe. So that is why I have to put them into the plug-in category to see the true fall of the pure ICE cars, because that is what is going to hurt the old guys. Their cash cow going down very fast and the unprofitable car going up very fast. Double Ouch. Because they want to ramp up BEVs very fast to be the leader in the EV race, but forget to look at the other side of the disruption, the fall of the old technology that they think they can earn a lot of money on for many years to come. But the data shows us something else. It is almost impossible to slow the EV adoption down now enough for the old guys to ever become right, with about 50% EV market share in 2030. Let me show you in just 1 second, because first I would like to address another obstacle we always run into when we're talking about how fast the EV adoption can happen: raw materials. Like, we don't have enough nickel for all those batteries. Well, we actually do, but it is just not all that is used for batteries. Only 5 to 10% of the world's nickel is used for the EV battery. And in the first half of this year, the EV market share was 10%. So if we just could use all the nickel supply we already have without opening any new mines, we would have enough nickel for the entire car industry to run on nickel batteries. But as we know, there are much more than just nickel batteries, so we don't need 100% of the world's nickel. But the rest of the nickel is used for many other things, like stainless steel or making your forks shiny. So this is also a point very overlooked, that many things we need to open up many new mines to get the nickel supply to meet the growing demand for EVs. And yes, we do need that as well, and definitely down the road. But many mining companies are working on that as we speak, but they are also working on just relocating some of all that nickel supply we already have to be in the EV industry instead. Someone like Vale, that is the leading global producer of low-carbon, high-purity nickel products. They are the world's largest nickel producer. It owns nickel mines and operations in Brazil, Canada, Indonesia, New Caledonia, as well as fully owned and joint venture refineries in China, South Korea, Japan, the UK, and Taiwan. These guys are huge. It is estimated that Vale currently sells 5% of its production into the EV market. It has a plan to increase that to 30 to 40%, probably also because that's where the money is. So the biggest nickel supplier in the world will go from 5 to maybe 40% of their nickel will be going to the EV battery makers. That is a lot of nickel, and a big increase from what we're using right now, and that is without increasing the number of mines they have, but only relocating its supply. So they are probably going to be talking with many of their customers that are using nickel to use another substitute metal to nickel, which is possible in some circumstances. So things like this short term and opening mines long term is why I'm still convinced that yes, the materials will be the limiting factor, but we have access to much more than many people think, and enough for this growth, combined with the new technologies that are emerging to extract more metals from the ore we are already digging up, like the ones we are seeing in Australia. According to Mining Weekly, current extraction techniques only recover between 50 to 70% of the metal using a process that is highly energy intensive. Recently, Australia's Nuclear Science and Technology Organization has joined forces with Lithium Australia to develop a new technology that is able to extract up to 95% of lithium available in the ore. It can also squeeze more out of the waste left behind by conventional extraction processes, so that is an increase of 25 to 50% extra lithium extract from the ore we are already digging up, and can get 25 to 50% more lithium out of the others leftovers. So a lot of things are happening in the mining and refining industry to get more out of what we already have, and the battery energy density is also increasing all the time, lowering the amount of batteries we need in the cars as well. So the EV adoption can happen very fast. I just want to make that point before everyone is starting to scream about raw material shortage. We are not as short as most people think. So let's look at the adoption here that is so far ahead of what most people thought possible just a couple of years back, and it is almost impossible to slow it down to fit the gold of the old legacy automakers. We are far beyond the point of no return. So in 2020, the total sales of new cars dropped by more than 10 million because of COVID. But that was all ICE cars. Plug-in vehicle rised another 1 million that year. And then in 2021 it doubled from 2020. And we are looking like we are going to double again this year. In the first half of 2022, that has been really hard hit with supply chain issues for the car industry and Tesla and many others with the lockdown in China. The plug-in market still grew with 63%. And everyone is speeding up. GM will no doubt double their production in the second half of this year, hopefully much more than that, but Tesla on its own will probably add another 35% to their sales from the first half of this year. BYD is ramping up as fast as it can together with all the other Chinese car makers, including Geely, that is as big as Mercedes and BMW, so not a small player, that wants to be 50% EVs by next year. And with the ramp Ford and GM wants to do over the next 3 years, they are only expected to grow their EV business much faster over the next 3 years than they have done in the previous years. So we should see close to a doubling again this year and the years to come, if the automakers should get anywhere near their claimed targets. So why is it that many analysts thinks it will slow down? Because just look at this chart I have made here, or what has happened, and is being very conservative with the 2022 numbers only giving it 63% growth as we saw in the first half of this year. So only using numbers we already have. The trend is pretty clear. We of course don't know what the overall car market will be over the next 8 years. Will it grow? Will it fall? That is still up for debate. But that does not matter as much as the fall of the ICE car will be as fast as the rise of the EVs. There is just no other way. So when we look at this chart, where do you think these lines will go from here? The trend is pretty clear, right? If we need to be at 50% by 2030, we almost have to stop in a year or two and start going sideways with no growth at all. And if we don't double the EV adoption going forward, but only add 50% growth to the plug-ins, it will look something like this. If we keep the total new car sales at 65 million, it doesn't really change much if we raise it to 70 million. The only thing that really matters is the pace the plug-in will rise with, because that will mirror the fall of the pure ICE car. And as you can see, the plug-in will become bigger already by the end of 2024, or at least by 2025, and it will pretty much be over by 2027. And that is if we only expect 50% growth from here on out. So we expect it to slow down from 2021 to 2022 growth numbers, even though everyone is ramping up faster, as GM and Ford all by themselves will go from practically nothing in 2021 to 2 million in 2025 and 2026, and all the Chinese has similar plans, and Tesla is even faster. So no one is indicating that this will slow down over the next 5 years, quite the opposite. But this is how it looks if we slow it down. But let's try to be even more conservative and go against all the data and what the trends are showing us, and slow down the growth even more, like 40% growth. Well, plug-in will still become bigger than pure ICE in 2025. And again, it's all over by 2027. So what if we raise the total market just a little bit by the end of the decade to 70 million and slow down the growth to a ridiculously slow rate of only 30%? Still crosses over by 2026 and still all over by 2028 or 29. Okay, let's do something crazy. It will only grow 20%. Yes, I know this is getting ridiculous, but with only a little tiny growth of 20%, plug-in will still be bigger in 2028 and will almost be 70% plug-in by 2030. But this is ridiculous, as we know the Chinese represent about 32% of the overall car market, and they are going all in, as the government also wants this to happen. So to expect them not to be 100% EVs by 2030 is kind of a joke, as we saw them jump up from just 10% new car sales being plug-in in the first half of 2021 to 26% in the first half of 2022. They are more than doubling their EV market share per year, and it would only take 2 more doubling for them to be over 100% plug-in market share. So of course they will be 100% plug-in by 2030, and many countries in Europe are banning ICE cars by 2030 as well. So to think there will be much left here in Europe will also be kind of kidding yourself. And just look at the numbers. If this should be the scenario, with only 20% growth, but Tesla actually hit their target of 20 million, Tesla will sit on more than 40% of the plug-in market share in 2030. I don't think that will happen either. Tesla could grow to 20 million, but not that the overall market grows that slow compared to Tesla. So yes, it does sound ridiculous with this slow growth, and is going against all the data and the trends we are seeing right now. It pretty much has to go sideways for there to be any ICE market left in 2030, let alone 50% as the US government and Ford, GM, Volkswagen is aiming for. We would have to drop the growth all the way down to 15% for that to come true. 15%. Only between 2018 to 2019 did we see such a little growth. Other than that year, the growth has been between 46 to 108% since 2013, with an average growth rate of 56%. And everything shows us it is speeding up. But sure, the US government and the old boys think that it will slow down to 15% as everyone is scrambling to grow as quickly as possible, not to be left behind by Tesla and the Chinese. This is ridiculous. It does not make sense to think it will slow down, to think we will only be at 50% plug-in in 2030. And as we have been seeing in 2022 so far, the BEVs is far outgrowing the hybrids. So I think hybrids will just slowly become a smaller and smaller number of the plug-ins, and by 2027 they will be all BEVs. No one will be stupid enough to buy a hybrid at that point. So hope this could give you a little visualization of what is going on right now, what the trends are showing us, and that it is pretty much impossible to slow the transition down to only 50% by 2030. Which means that Volkswagen, GM, Ford and all the other legacy automakers that expect to be only 50% in 2030 will be at least 50% smaller car companies than they are today, losing their business to Tesla and the Chinese. If they are still alive, that is, losing 50% of your business while scaling up an unprofitable business, while spending billions of dollars on retooling and refurbishing their old dinosaur factories and winding down their old ICE engines without bankrupting the supplier for spare parts for the ICE cars that is still on the road with warranties and service checks. Yes, the old guys are standing at the foot of the mountain they have to climb, untrained and in flip-flops and shorts, thinking the nice grassy hills they can see from the bottom is where they need to go, not understanding they have to climb over the snowy mountaintop of Everest in their shorts and flip-flops that lays beyond the grassy hills they can see. So yes, I do think the old boys will have a very hard time keeping up with the adoption. And if you think, well, who will then make this fast EV adoption happen? Well, that will be Tesla, the Chinese, and the many startups that are giving a chance by the old boys because they move too slow. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.